G'day, TT here from Teach It Forward, and welcome to my office. Got the new hat on because the wife told me that the other one was getting too skanky to be on camera, so hope you like it. Today's video is really going to be about overwhelm, and what is it and what do you do if you're feeling that way. Now I have to put my hand up because I have let myself go into overwhelm over the past 6 weeks, and it's a bloody awful feeling. I feel probably more shame on it than others, because here I am helping a lot of business owners get out of it, and yet I chose to let myself get into it. So it's not about being shameful, it's about recognizing that that's actually where I was, and then making new decisions after I've got the awareness of it to get myself out of it and choose something that is choose a different way of being than being overwhelmed, so that I can get momentum and feel better about myself. So I did 3 things, and I always do these 3 things, and it's the 3 things that I actually teach clients. So I just want to share them with you now. So the first thing I do when I start to get overwhelmed is I either go on my big whiteboard here, or if I'm away or I have a flip chart, I get a really big piece of paper and I physically write down all the things that I'm thinking about that I'm actually not feeling capable of achieving. Because overwhelm really is, when someone's doing overwhelm, they're thinking that there's too much on. They're thinking that they're not good enough to complete it all. They're thinking that they don't have the capacity to actually achieve it all. They're thinking that, that because they're trying to do too much, they're not going to do anything well. And then they feel guilt, or they feel embarrassed, or they feel insignificant, or they feel not enough, and that's never productive. So when you actually break it down and scope it all out on a big whiteboard or piece of paper, and you look at everything that's actually in your head that you're trying to process and do, it really gives you a whoa, holy moly, there wouldn't be a human being who could deal with all that. It gives you just a bit of relief and also awareness of all the things that are there. The second step I then do is I go to my value, one of my values called simplicity. And the way I define simplicity is choosing what is truly important. I've got it written down there on my whiteboard there to always keep it front of mind. So I get that big list of things I've just written out, and I go, okay, out of all these things here, what are the most important things? If there was just 3 of those things, that if I focused on those, I would, 1, feel I'm getting some momentum, 2, I'd feel better about myself, and 3, we'd be making progress. So choose what's truly important. Just isolate down to 3 and focus on those things tomorrow, or today, tomorrow, and the next day. And you'll find that once you deal with those things and you start to do that, overwhelm goes down, confidence starts to go up, which is always a great thing. Now, the third thing I always do as well is when I'm in that overwhelmed space, I have trouble sleeping. So I either take a long time to go to sleep, or I wake up in the middle of the night because things are going through my head. Now, the best technique to do when that happens to you is the pop and drop technique. Now, I did a video on that just a couple of weeks ago, so just go back in history and see that pop and drop video, because it explains it in more detail. But briefly for now, all it really is when you're in bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, you wake up and there's things stirring through your mind. Pop and drop is really get it out of your mind, get it from here and onto a piece of paper, on your journal, on a piece of paper. I actually use the notes section of my phone because I just type it in there, it's done. And then in the morning when I have to action it or use it, I can just email it from my phone straight to email, go straight in a Word document and bang, or whatever document it needs to be, email, and I can get it out really quick. So get it out of your head, put it into something so you can use it the next day. But then what happens is then the mind relaxes and you can go back to sleep. When you are more well rested, you will have a much greater tendency to not go into overwhelm. So let's quickly go through those 3 topics again. So the 3 techniques that I use: break things down so you can see everything that's going on. 2, ask yourself, what's the 3 most important things? What's the 3 simplest things here that if I focus on those, I get the momentum? And number 3 is pop and drop. Get it out so that you can just do it in bite sizes and clear that mind so you can rest and be strong and healthy. So I wish you all the best with that. Overwhelm is never productive for anybody, and it does affect your health and it does affect your confidence. So I hope these 3 things work for you. Please put them in action. I'd love to hear how they did work for you. So send us a feedback, and if you think my new hat's cool or if you think it's dorky, put that in the comments too. Take care. See you next video.